This is section 13.6, and beginning with the last two problems in the section, we are going to solve 3x cubed minus 12x is equal to 0 by factoring out the expression on the left-hand side. And so the first thing is that it is already in standard form, but we need to factor it to get into standard quadratic form. And so we find that there is a greatest common factor of x, and since 3 divides 12, then our greatest common factor is 3x, and we'll factor that out. And if we factor out 3x from 3x cubed, we're left with x squared minus 4. And that equation is now in a standard form. We need to factor the quadratic part completely. And so we have x squared minus 4, and there is no middle term, so we know that the factors are going to have to be the same except for their sign. And so for negative 4x squared, we know that there will be an x in both of these boxes. We know the signs are going to be different, one positive, one negative. We know that it's not 1 and 4 because negative 1 plus 4 is positive 3, and positive 1 minus 4 is negative 3, and we're looking for a sum of 0. And so the next factor we try is 2, and 4 is actually 2 times 2. And so if we have negative 2 and positive 2, that equals 0, and that will let our middle term disappear. And so this will be negative 2 and positive 2. Greatest common factor across the top is x. Greatest common factor on the second row is, we're going to assume it's positive 2. Greatest common factor on the first column is x, and greatest common factor on the second column is negative 2. Just to be certain we've done it correctly, we will check our factoring. X times x is x squared. X times negative 2 is negative 2x. Positive 2 times x is positive 2x. And positive 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. And so the factored form, completely factored form of our quadratic equation, don't forget the greatest common factor, that's 3x, times x plus 2 times x minus 2, and that's equal to 0. And so we'll continue on with our next step. The factored quadratic was 3x times x minus 2 times x plus 2 equals 0, which means that 3x might be 0, which means then that x would be 0. X minus 2 equals 0 if x is equal to positive 2. And x plus 2 equals 0 means x would have been negative 2. And so we have our solutions. And our solutions are x equals 0, 2, or negative 2. And we need to check each solution in the original equation. So we will check x equals 0. And that gives us 3 times 0 cubed minus 12 times 0, which is in fact 0 minus 0, which is 0, so that checks. We will check x equals 2. 3 times 2 cubed minus 12 times 2 is 3 times 8, which is 24, minus 12 times 2 is 24, and that also equals 0, and so our second solution checks. And our final solution is x equals negative 2, and for x equals negative 2, we would have 3 times negative 2 cubed minus 12 times negative 2, and that is equal to 3 times negative 8, which is negative 24, minus 2 times negative 2, 12 times negative 2 is negative 24, and so when we subtract a negative 24, we have negative 24 plus 24, and that is equal to 0, and so our last solution also checks.